Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm actually going to be making some homemade do-it-yourself, whatever you want to call it, Christmas gifts. I'm going to be making some bath bombs, some soaps, and some face masks. So let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty guys, so first up is the soap. So I have two different soap bases here. The first one is a goat's milk soap base and the second one's an olive oil soap base. I kind of like the goat's milk soap base better because unless you're adding like a mica powder or some kind of colorant to the olive oil soap base, it's kind of a clear color in the end. Anyway, so what I was showing you guys is that I have the soap molds, but also if you don't have soap molds, you can use a milk carton, you can use an old yogurt container. Just make sure you clean them out really well, and then that way you don't have to buy, a soap mold for if it's something you're just going to make one time, and then you could just be more handy with the stuff you have at home. Anyways, so we're going to just chop the soap up, add it to my bowl. You're supposed to put it in a glass bowl, but I didn't. So the first soap that I'm going to be making is a lemon poppy one. So I have some lemon essential oil. You could also use citrus fresh or orange in addition to it too. And then I'm going to zest the entirety of the lemon and then add some poppy seeds to it as well. So one of the reasons why I like the goat milk base better than the olive oil one was because this one started solidifying really quickly. By the time I was done zesting the lemon and adding the essential oil and the poppy seeds, the soap base was already starting to harden, which was kind of frustrating because it didn't give me enough time to work with it. As you can see here when I'm mixing it, you can already see chunks in it that are starting to harden. So that's just my little tip. If you're going to do something quick, then maybe you could use an olive oil soap base. If not, I would recommend using a different one because like I said, it was just a little difficult to work with. So I just add everything in there and mix everything up. And I'm going to be using my actual soap mold for this one. So I just pour everything in there a little at a time, and then there's going to be a bunch that's left over in the bowl that's hardened. So I kind of just take it and roll it up and shove it in the yogurt container that you saw earlier and kind of try to salvage it that way. And I just decided that that's going to be my own little personal soap. I won't use that one as a gift, but I'll keep that one for myself. So I just, here you go, you see me ripping it off and just shoving it in the yogurt container. So I just take that and then I place it in the fridge. You don't have to put it in the fridge to harden. You can leave it out at room temperature. It just takes a little bit longer, but I just put them in the fridge because it's easier for me to make sure that my kids are in no way, shape, or form going to get into them. So the next soap that we're making is going to be an oatmeal lavender soap. Sounds very fancy, right? So we're just taking half of the soap mix and cutting it up, throwing it in the microwave again, and then once that is completed, I'm going to be taking a 1/4 cup of oats and then adding my lavender essential oil to it. I wanted to add some dried lavender to it as well, but of course my dried lavender magically disappeared. I have no idea where it went, so I wasn't able to do that. Now you can do rolled oats or the steel cut oats. I personally like doing the steel cut oats because it's a little, it causes a little more exfoliation. So you get more an exfoliating effect from steel cut oats than with the regular oats, but that's just my opinion. And then I added, I believe it was, 12 to 15 drops of the lavender essential oil. It smelled amazing. Okay, guys, I was ready to take a nap after this. So these are actually silicone muffin tins. and I really liked using them. You can leave them in the actual muffin tin if you want to be able to transfer it to wherever you're drying it. I just left it on the cutting board, and it made 7 of these soaps. And then I just took all the leftover oat goodness and just topped off each of the soaps. And then, like I said, you can put them in the fridge. You can leave them overnight, but it only takes around 40 minutes for them to start to harden and be ready. Now, the next thing I'm going to be making are masks. I decided to do a clay base mask. Now, these cute little tiny mason jars that I got, I think they're 1 ounce. I got them at Hobby Lobby years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago. I'm sure they don't have them anymore, but maybe have something similar. Anyway, I decided to do the clay base, and you see me here measuring out what the instructions on the back said, because it said it had to be 15 parts clay base to 2 parts water to 1 part glycerin or oil. Now, when it comes to oil, you can use whatever oil you want. You should use what you have on hand, which is what I did. I did the olive oil because our olive oil comes from my husband's family in Palestine. So it's really fragrant and I love it. And olive oil in general is really good for your skin. It's very hydrating. So you can use olive oil, coconut oil, jojoba oil, sweet almond oil, hemp oil. Basically, whatever oil your little heart desires. I just decided to use olive oil because that's what I had on hand. Now, when I'm following the recipe, as you can see, it's not really mixing. It's just kind of clumping up and not being a very liquidy mask. Like, it's just clumps right now. I don't know what was happening. So I decided to abort mission and I just didn't follow the instructions after that. I just kind of switched between the clay, the water, and the oil until I found a consistency that I personally liked and I thought that I was good. So this is me just mixing around till I thought I got a good mixture of it. And this honestly took me like 20 minutes, guys, to get a consistency that I liked. It wasn't a quick feat. It did take a while, but I did end up using the mask later on at night. I tried a little bit that was left over and I really liked it. You'll see me add it soon, but I also added some tea tree oil to it because tea tree oil is really good for breakouts. You could use lavender oil if you want a more calming effect, or you can use frankincense oil because that is also very good for your skin. Basically, whatever you want. I think this brand also has like their own cosmetic fragrances that you could add to it that they sell at Michael's as well, and you can add that to there if you wanted to. So I'm just mixing the oil in, and then after that I take a 1/4 cup and I just pour it into the 4 containers, and then just make sure you push down the cork very well because you don't want any of it to come spilling out. But yeah, so I attempted to pour it in there and realized I just made a huge mess. So I decided to take the 1/4 cup instead and pour it all in there. And the amount that I had made the 4 masks pretty, it filled them up to the top. So I'll have to make some more to do a few more masks, but I decided to take on that a different day because this mask mixture I honestly don't recommend. It kind of was very frustrating to work with, but that's just my personal opinion. I did let the masks sit for a little bit and I checked on them to make sure that they didn't completely harden again, and they didn't. They were a really good consistency, so I was happy in the end with the turnout. And so the last thing we're going to be making are bath bombs, and you need 1 cup of baking soda, half a cup of citric acid, half a cup of cornstarch, half a cup of Epsom salt or sea salt or pink Himalayan salt, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and then 1 to 2 tablespoons of either witch hazel or water. Now I used both of them. So what you do is you add all your dry ingredients to the bowl And then after you do that, you add the coconut oil, mix it all together. And then after that, you gently, and I mean gently, add the witch hazel or the water. Now you could put it in a spray bottle and just gently mist the top of it until you get a consistency that's like wet sand, because that's the consistency you want in order to be able to put it in the mold and for it to hold. So that's what you want there. So you can use the spray bottle or you can just do what I did, and I kind of just like sprinkled it in there ever so gently, or I like scooped everything out and made a hole in the well at one point and added the witch hazel at the bottom. Basically, the reason why you want to add it very gently is because if you activate the citric acid, then everything starts foaming and then it's just going to become a mess, and you won't longer, wow, that's not a sentence, you won't have a bath bomb any longer. It'll just, it would have reacted, and so it's just going to be a mess. What you could do, another thing, is add everything except the citric acid, and then add your water, mix it in, and then add your citric acid, and then mix that in afterwards, so that way you're not adding any fresh liquid on top, so you don't have to worry about there possibly being a reaction to it. That's another thing that you can do. So I did add some oils to it. I believe I did Citrus Fresh to add a nice little pop of fragrance. I really like citrusy scents, guys. They're kind of my favorite, so that's usually what I personally lean towards. You can do lavender. You can, again, lavender is good for everything. You can do peppermint. You can do tea tree. You can do, heck, you could do it. You could do rose if you wanted. That would be a really good one. Rose sounds amazing. You can do orange. You can do basically anything, whatever scent you want, you can do it. And then also, if you wanted to add a color to it, these had a really nice pink color because of the pink Himalayan salt. But if you did want to add a color to it, you can add mica powder, and then get those in whatever color you would want, and then you can add those to the bath bomb as well. So I'm just trying to slowly incorporate everything to get the wet sand texture. I'm sure I had to use more than 2 tablespoons of water that it required. I think I ended up using 3, closer to 4 tablespoons to get the wet sand texture. But once you guys have that, you just put them into whatever molds you have. You can get the bath bomb molds if you'd prefer, but I thought it was ridiculous spending $20 on bath bomb molds. So again, I just used my silicone muffin tins. You can use whatever you have in your house. Just make sure that you're making sure everything is in there nice and tight. So I used the silicone cups and my measuring cups. And they do have to sit out and harden for 24 to 48 hours before you're able to use them. If you are in a rush, you can put them in the fridge and they'll be hardened faster. But 24 to 48 hours is their recommended time. So there's a few ways you can wrap this. You can use the tissue paper. You can use the plastic wrap to wrap it in. Just tie a little bow around. Or you can stick a bunch of these in a mason jar and present them that way with a little bow wrapped around it. There's a few different ways you can go about it. And in a little bit, you'll see how I ended up incorporating those in. But that's it, guys. I don't think I have anything else to say except thank you so much for watching. I hope this gave you some good ideas that you could do for last minute Christmas gifts. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!